boys will be boys, like that parent that says, like, this is just always, and you're saying it's a very different creature than it once was. So if there's a person that says, like, they're okay with their son or daughter consuming pornography because, like, I looked at magazines too when I was a kid. You're saying this is a very different thing.
It really is. I mean, now we look at the average age of exposure to pornography is between 8 and 11 years old, depending on the study, and it's getting younger and younger. We routinely have parents coming to us where kids are 5, 6, 7 years old and not just viewing pornography, they're addicted to it. They are in counseling, they are flat out addicted. Um, it so when parents have that type of attitude, they really need to understand the damages that that does to a young person. They're not ready for those types of, and you mentioned it used to be just a picture in a magazine. Now they're seeing hardcore, very graphic, and you get into the issues of how much, mental and physical abuse that are in that's in pornography and how much of that is toward women. So it's shaping our young people's attitudes about the opposite sex, about what sexuality is. It's causing much more acting out at an earlier age, and there's a litany, a list of things that are damaging to younger people. Even worse for young women. I mentioned 33% of women say they struggle with pornography. That's really changing with the young women. We're seeing stats as high as 50%, 60% of young women are using pornography on a regular basis. And it's not the pornography of their mother, which was more romantic novels, words, that type of thing. It's the hardcore types of things. And they're finding so much more damage that that's doing to young women than even for young men. Just in their sense of sexuality and how what love means and how to gain love, acting out much earlier. And I said the list goes on and on. And so parents really do need to understand the damage that this really does to kids, to young men and women, and what they carry into relationships and marriage. It doesn't go away. A lot of that's one of the big myths we see is, oh, well, when I get married, I won't have this problem. It'll go away. It doesn't. You just carry that in, and then it creates those issues in our relationship. And I already mentioned the divorce stat over that. So yeah,
So
it's a big problem.
it goes beyond ED. It goes to the fact that there's intimacy in marriage is made excruciatingly more complicated when there's
Mm.
pornography involved. And I understand why, because um instead of working with a spouse, with for your physical intimacy, you just you can take care of that yourself. And so you don't have to have that communication. You don't have to have that intimacy. You don't have to have that connection. And I
The
understand why that would
vulnerability and yeah,
the
the vulnerability
vulnerability.
and all that
Yeah,
that creates bonding and yeah.
And those are so critical. It's why God gave us sexuality and sex in marriage, because it helps develop the marriage. And when you take away that, I understand why marriage intimacy and marriages would be broken because of
yeah,
that.
yeah. And not to be too graphic here, but one of the saddest things we hear at Covenant Eyes is to hear, and usually the husband or the man really confess that not just intimacy is lost, but um, the downright abuse. Because what happens, is guys begin to act out the
Wow.
scenes and
Mhm.
things they see, and they begin to really abuse their spouses in that way. And that's easily sensed by the spouse, and just that damage that does in that love, that intimacy, that marriage is very painful.